All right, welcome into the FNIA podcast presented by Lowe's with a couple of guys that personify greatness in the NFL. Tony Dungy, Rodney Harrison. Fellas, let's get to the news that's been making some ripples since Monday Night Football. Tom Brady, who of course is the lead broadcaster for Fox, was up in the booth as a minority owner of the Raiders. He's in the coach's booth. He's got the headset on, the whole thing. They show him a couple of times. It's big news that hey, he's double dipping. He's doing the broadcaster thing, and now he's got this kind of access. People are mad about it. Rodney, you know him so well. Your reaction to this entire news cycle and how it's hit the web and people are going nuts about it.
Well, when they first panned to him up there with the headphones on, I'm saying he's talking to one of the coaches. He's giving them tremendous insight. And as a player / businessman, I understand that Tom's going to take advantage of every opportunity that he gets. I played 15 years in the league, but I've been a broadcaster for 17 years, Jack. And it's definitely a conflict of interest because think about it. When we walk on that field, we get so much information. We get all the behind the scenes information. We get, which the average fan has no idea the type of information we're getting. We're getting, information on players' health, how a team was built, how tough a guy is. You could talk to scouts, coaches, general managers, and just people within the organization. They're going to give you all this information. And Tom Brady's a smart dude. He's going to use this. He's going to use it. It's human nature to use the information. If I talk to Howie Roseman, if he talks to Howie Roseman or Howie tells him how he builds a team, you don't think he's going to take that back to the Raiders and use the same thing? And just think about free agency. If somebody told him, well, this guy's not very tough, when that guy becomes a free agent, he already knows, hey, I'm going to back away from that. So it's definitely a conflict of interest. It made me feel a little uncomfortable when I saw it. And I think it's an unfair advantage for the Raiders and Tom Brady. And the league had given them a pass, Coach.
Yeah, I agree. When I first saw the news way back when Tom signed to be a broadcaster for Fox, and now he's also part owner of the Raiders, anybody in football would say, hey, wait a minute, that's a problem. I don't think the general public caught on to it until they saw him up in the booth. Then the light went on. Oh, wow, this guy works for the Raiders, but he also works for Fox and he gets information. And you're spot on, Rodney, that some of the things that we can ask and talk to people, conversations we had on Sunday night with the Atlanta Falcons people about not only their guys, but about the Minnesota team, how they were going to attack them. If you got that information, now all of a sudden you're playing Minnesota 5 weeks later, you've got some inside information that nobody else has.
Yeah, it was just very uncomfortable when I saw him with the headphones on, because as an owner, I'm sitting back thinking that he's going to be in some suite, engaging in conversation, enjoying the game and entertaining. And then you see Tom Brady up there with full headphones. So he's talking back and forth to Chip Kelly offering advice.
But, to me, that's not the problem. Carly Ursay is on the sideline for the Colts, and she's got headphones on. So him being in the booth is not the problem. The problem is he gets to go around to the other 31 teams and get information that no other owner is going to be able to get.
Right. That point right there.
So here's what's hard about this is that, okay, so you can say that he can't go to practices at other teams' facilities, which the league has said. You can say that he can't go to production meetings, which the league has said, right? And I understand that. But he's still Tom Brady. And there's still every player in the league is going to want to talk to him. Every coach in the league is going to they want to have a relationship with Tom Brady. So how do you say, Tom Brady, you can't go gather any type of information? Like, do you just walk him from the airplane straight into the broadcast booth and make sure that there's no interaction? I don't know how you make this all work. How do you make this all work, Coach, in a way that makes you feel comfortable? Rod, I see you nodding your head. Rod, go ahead.
No, it's one of those situations where Tom's going to watch a lot of tape. We understand that. You find out a lot of information from tape. But Tom has relationships across the league. And He's going to pick up the phone. He's going to call people. He's going to ask questions. That's your job, to find out information. If he's being banned from these meetings, he still has a way, because who's going to turn down Tom Brady? I mean, when he walks in the room, he lights up the entire room. People get excited. People just want to be next to this guy. So, I understand he's taking full advantage of the opportunities, but at the same time, it's not a good look for the NFL, and it's not right, Coach.
Yeah, just imagine, hypothetical. Clark Hunt is the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. If he was at the Raiders Cowboys game talking to people on the sideline, players, what would that? We'd call that tampering, right? He can't do that. Well, Tom Brady is part owner of the Oakland Raiders, and he can talk to any player in the NFL at any time. That's a tough one to swallow.
The interesting thing to me is that he could have lived any life imaginable post playing career, right? He could have done anything he wanted to do. And he elected to take this big contract to go call games on Fox. Totally understand that. Makes complete sense to me. And then he elected to take this, piece of the Raiders. So naturally, this lifestyle created a conflict of interest right up front. The way he designed and set up this life, it was going to be a conflict of interest. And I just think managing the optics of it, Rod, by sitting in the booth with managing just the optics of it, it was not a good way to do it on Monday night. Go ahead.
But bro, the thing is, like I said, he's going to take advantage of the opportunities. If those gatekeepers and the people they're going to give him those opportunities. They're not going to say something. They're going to allow him to have free access. They're going to allow him to double dip. He's going to do it. And nobody's going to get this type of free access.
And he should. He should do it.
Right.
and I have nothing against Tom Brady and what he's doing. My problem is with the NFL. And not you have to have rules against this. It's not Tom's fault.
It's not Tom's fault.
If the rules against it are that he can't go to practice and he can't go to production meetings, Coach, are you good with it?
No, I don't think he should be able to talk to any players before the game, during the game, after the game, at all on other teams, at game sites.
Okay, so he can't walk the field prior to the game with Kevin Burkhardt and do all that because that's too much information.
The thing that we all do.
Right. So he can go from his airplane or his hotel to the broadcast booth and back into the car and back to the airport. And anything outside of that would cross a line for you.
Yes, that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
I agree. Rodney, is that how you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how he could do both. Because like I said, we have so much access, and all he has to do, he may not show up at the practice, he may not show up at the interviews, but all it takes is a phone call, and everybody's going to pick up Tom Brady's phone call. Nobody's going to say, no, I'm not talking to Tom. If he talks to an offensive coordinator, hey, I can't be at the meeting. What are the 2 or 3 most important points? Then all of a sudden he has that, but he hasn't gone to the meeting. Who's turning down Tom Brady? I just think it gets to a point, eventually they're going to have to say, hey, man, what are you going to do? Are you going to be part owner or are you going to be a broadcaster? And that's what it comes down to make things all fair across the league.
You think other owners are going to be making a fuss about this, Coach?
Yes, I certainly would. I'm not an owner. I'm not a coach now, but if I were, I would be upset. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think they have an advantage.
Right. And would calls that are, let's just say on a Tuesday afternoon or a Wednesday afternoon, if he's talking to Aaron Rodgers on the phone, is that less of a big deal to you than if it were at the game site?
No, I think it's wrong either way. And, I've called coaches that we're going to have their game on Sunday, and I call on Wednesday, hey, what are you guys thinking? How do you attack this team? Tell me some of the weaknesses in the other team. I'm doing my job. Okay, I'm trying to get ready for a good broadcast. But if I work for another team, now that's a problem because I've got inside information that I can give my team about someone else, and that no other owner is allowed to do that.
And he's a human being. It's only natural that he uses the information that he gets. And he's a brilliant, really smart dude. And he's going to use it to help build his team, to give any insight that he possibly can. And that's what he's supposed to do. But it's not right.
To Sunday, he can have no interaction, albeit his own cell phone, a Zoom call, a meeting, going to practice. He can do nothing. All he can do to get ready for a game is to watch the tape. And really, what should be enough for Tom Brady to get ready to call a game, if we're all being completely honest with ourselves. Like, Rod, if you were a GM, if you were a coach, if you were a player, and Tom Brady was, what would be your reaction? Would you just say nothing to him?
I would be very careful. I would probably deal in generalities, and I would be very careful. I wouldn't do specific instances with Tom. I'll be a lot broader. So yeah, I mean, I know how to handle the media. And in Tom Brady's case, it's just not right, coach, because he gets too
Yeah.
much information when he's at those games and he's around those people, and he can use that to build up the Raiders and to affect his, the Raiders' ability to win.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah, and when they mentioned that he talked to Chip Kelly 2 or 3 times per week about schemes and various things within the offense, I think that was just another layer on top of that where people go, okay. I mean, at some point, we got to make sure we're managing this thing the right way. But I think if we're all on the same page, let him watch the tape, take him straight to the booth, take him straight out of the stadium, and we're all good. Let's do it that way and let him call games. Is that good with you, Rod?
It looks good, but it looks good. But at the end of the day, you still can't regulate it. The only way you regulate it and say, hey, he can only be an owner or he's going to be a broadcaster. I feel like he has to decide which one he wants to do.
Yeah, let's just say this hypothetical, Jack. The New England Patriots send out a memo tomorrow to the NFL. Hey, we just hired Rodney Harrison as a consultant for us. Nothing else has changed, but Rodney is now working for us.
Right.
Would that put a little red flag in people's minds when Rodney comes to a stadium? Sure, it would.
And coach, and think about it. If we had the Miami Dolphins and we're preparing for the Miami Dolphins, I'm asking questions about the Miami Dolphins. Guess what? I have that information, and of course I could take it back to the Patriots. It's just human nature, bro.
It is. It's consciously or subconsciously that information is going to affect the way you do business because it's in your brain. We're all right. We move it along. Interesting conversation. I'm sure that it will unfold more and more as it goes along. He's making 30+ mil to call games. You own a team, that price goes up by, it seems like 100 million every year. So it's just insane to say, how would you choose one? We'll see how it plays out. 2-0 teams, 0-2 teams. We're through 2 weeks. I want to get into the discussion around the league. 2-0 teams. There's one in every division right now. Who would be the biggest surprise? Philly, San Francisco, Green Bay, Tampa, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Chargers, or the Colts? Coach, I'll start with you here. The biggest surprise is who?
Well, I have to go to Cincinnati because number one, they're notoriously slow starters. They usually don't get off to these type of starts. And number two, their quarterback got injured. So to overcome that, start 2-0 with Joe Burrow hurt, that was a major surprise to me.
Yeah, and I figured you would pick that. For me, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers, and I think Kyle Shanahan, the best move that he made all offseason was to hire Robert Saleh. He's been really good on defense. I think he has a really good understanding of Bosa and a lot of his star players, and those players are happy to have him back. You look at the last 2 games they've been on the road against NFC opponents. That defense has been able to close out at the end of the game. So Robert Saleh, he's done a real good job with that defense, and they lost a lot of key players as well, Jack.
They definitely have. Cincinnati, they beat Cleveland and Jacksonville. Look at a team like Green Bay, they beat Detroit and Washington. San Francisco, like you said, Rod, that Seahawks game on the road to start the season, a big win for them. They go back, they beat the Saints. A team like Philly, they beat Dallas and Kansas City, so 2 kind of a bigger wins. But interesting to have an undefeated team in every division in the NFL through 2 weeks here. Do you think Cincinnati has a chance, Coach? I mean, that's the talk around town right now. They're your biggest surprise. Can they hang on with Jake Browning?
I think they have a chance in the short term. I'm more concerned about them in the long term. When you have your quarterback who's not playing and getting banged up and you've got so much money invested in him, it's hard to survive. But I think Browning will do a good job. I think they'll rally, and they've got a tough schedule, but I think they can make some noise.
I don't think they're going to make any noise. I think I think they're in a tough division. I like the heart that this young kid has shown, but without Joe Burrow, they're not a playoff team, and they won't make the playoffs. They play hard, but they won't make the playoffs, Jack.
I just wonder if they can get to, let's just say 3-0 against Minnesota with no JJ McCarthy, which who knows could make Minnesota better. They probably lose to the Broncos. They probably lose to the Lions. They probably lose to the Packers. So now they're what? 3-4, somewhere hovering around 500. The Steelers could be a toss-up. They could beat the Jets. They could maybe beat the Bears. Like my question is, can they get to 7-7-ish and all of a sudden Burrows has a chance to come back, or 8-7. You know what I mean? Could they be in the mix in December and Burrow comes back, Coach?
That could happen, and they're going to have those other elements come through. And Browning has played for them in the past. He hung in there, did okay. I expect him to play better than he did in his first stint. I'm like Rod, though. Will it be good enough against the really good teams?
Yeah, and you look on the defensive side of the ball, they're not great on the defensive side of the ball. They still got issues on the offensive line. And Joe did a great job of scrambling around. Jack, you and I praised him, how well he was moving around inside and outside the pocket. But this kid Browning, he plays with some toughness, some mental toughness, but he just doesn't have the movement. He doesn't have the relationship with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And I just think when you play against the better teams, I think they're going to get exposed.
Yeah, and I guess if you look at the glass half empty, you beat Cleveland when Cleveland's kicker missed 2 kicks, and you beat Jacksonville because they made a dumb decision not to kick a field goal and go up 6 points. That's not exactly saying, hey, we're all star status right now.
Great point, Coach.
Fair enough. Typically, though, they're behind they're 0-2. They're behind the 8 ball trying to catch up. And this year they have a little head start when maybe they didn't fully deserve it, but at least a 2-0 head start. How about the 0-2 teams? Rodney, go ahead. What do you got?
Jack, the last point I was going to make was I'm so glad, Coach, that Joe Burrow decided to get surgery and not try to sit out and shoot up his toe and do all these. Yeah, I think this is the smartest move for Bengals fans and for the longevity of his career. That injury, that turf toe, that is devastating. That is one of the most painful injuries that you could possibly have because you can't explode, you can't walk, you can't jump, you can't do anything. So I'm just happy that he's going to take care of it the right way, Coach.
Yeah, he could go out there and try to gut it out. But as we said, not a great offensive line. And the biggest thing he's had is his mobility to get away from pressure. Right. Now you go out there and try to play and gut it out, and you're not as mobile. I don't think it would have been good for him.
Yeah, it's just still hard for me to wrap my head around. And Coach and I were texting this morning that in 6 seasons that they haven't protected him well once. And I'm talking, when I say well, like a top 20 offensive line, a top 25 offensive line. It hasn't happened one time. So that to me is organizationally, your priorities are out of line. They're out of line. If you didn't do it 1 year or 3 years, okay, maybe you got. But for 6 years to not be able to get that right, and you're paying 2 receivers over $100 million, something is just wacky about that to me. And you continue now to pay the price for that.
Yeah, and I always talk about just the organization. They need to hire a new general manager, somebody that's going to come in and make the right decisions, really focus on the offense and defensive line. And the ownership, they have to be open-minded. They have to say, hey, we need someone. Joe Burrow can't be your general manager. You can't have a quarterback dictating to pay another receiver $100 million. Like, who gives both receivers $100 million? You're not winning championships because you got $200 million receivers. You're winning championships, and as coach, because of that offense and defensive line, your ability to protect and get after the quarterback, that's why you win.
Yeah, Rod, I had Peyton Manning, you played with Tom Brady. If someone said to either one of us, they're going to be the most sacked quarterback in football, and we don't care who protects him, and we're not worried about it, you'd lose your mind. I would. We've got to protect Peyton Manning.
We wouldn't have Super Bowl rings, Coach. We wouldn't be champions right now if that were the case.
But you do. That's the most important thing. You do have those rings.
Because we had people that could protect those 2 guys.
Absolutely. That was a focal point of, one thing I respect about Coach Belichick. He understood the importance. We had 3-4 first rounders on our defensive line, and and even though we didn't have a lot of big name offensive linemen, we had guys that were really good. Matt Light and those guys, they were really good football players, unselfish, and fought and clawed everything they had to protect Tom Brady.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to the 0-2 teams. Other side of this coin, there's a group of them. The Jets, the Dolphins, Kansas City finds themselves right here. Cleveland, Houston, Tennessee, the Giants, the Bears, a little bit of a surprise there, the Panthers, and the Saints. The biggest disappointment in the 0-2 group, Rodney, is who?
It's the Chiefs, of course. I mean, that's the biggest disappointment. The good thing about the Chiefs, they still have their foundation. They still have their core players and Andy Reid and guys. But coach, just watching the tape, they're not getting the production from their star players. I look at Chris Jones, he's got two tackles in a couple games. And you don't see that effort. You don't see guys flying around like they're hungry to play. I think they've had a lot of success. I think guys have gotten really rich and comfortable, and that's what you watch. You think about Isaiah Pacheco. He's not the same physical runner that he once was. I mean, this is the guy that sets the tone for their offense, and he's not doing anything. Even Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie is one of the best young corners in all of football, and he hasn't been great this year. So I just think the Chiefs needed a little bit of humble pie to get focused. No one's afraid of the Chiefs when you look at it. They're coming in. They have a lot of confidence in the last 3 games that they played. They've been absolutely physically manhandled, Coach.
Yeah, and I'm sure their fan base is disappointed. I looked at the schedule, though. You're playing the Chargers and Philadelphia. That's a possibility that you could be 0-2. My disappointing team, 2 of them really, the Dolphins and the Texans. The fact that they're 0-2, but how they've gotten to 0-2. And it's kind of like Rodney was saying with the Chiefs. The Dolphins look totally disorganized. They have not been sound. They got thrashed on the road week 1, kind of gave away a game in week 2. And then the Texans, you were division champs last year. You said you need to fix your offensive line. You still are not able to run the ball. C.J. Stroud still getting hit. Something has to change there in that offensive chemistry for the Texans.
Yeah, and the thing about it, Coach, I don't. When I look at CJ, he doesn't look confident. When he came in as a rookie, he looked really confident. Everything was slow, and he doesn't trust the offensive line, and I don't believe he trusts the new offensive coordinator. I don't believe he trusts that voice in his ear. And what Todd Bowles did was masterful plan. He's up there. He's got guys stepping in the A and B gaps and moving around and blitzing them. And he looked so confused. I felt sorry for the kid because he doesn't have any help. And like you said, Coach, that offensive line, putting emphasis on that offensive line is still average to bad.
Yeah. The only saving grace maybe for Houston is they lost at the Rams, who we all believe could be one of the final 4 teams, maybe in all of football. They lost against Tampa, who's in that same, they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a tough out in the NFC in the playoffs as well. So maybe as their schedule lightens up a bit, that they could maybe find a bit of a rhythm. But that's a tough 2-game stretch to start the season with. Right there.
It is, and they're in a division. They're in a winnable division, so they've got a chance, and they're going to get some people back into their lineup, get some of their weapons back. That's going to help them. But that problem, just what Rodney says, the confidence of C.J. Stroud, that's got to improve if they're going to win.
I was a little surprised, Coach, that they didn't go out and hire a more experienced offensive coordinator. It's these young guys, and I thought they would hire a guy, more of a veteran guy, to really work with CJ, to bring him, to calm him down. And he hasn't gotten better. He doesn't look more comfortable. He looks frustrated. I mean, he looks like he's sad almost playing football.
We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about the Chiefs and their issues. But to me, it looks very similar to the Chiefs. Number one, you lost some very good wide receiver talent that is not in the lineup now. Number 2, you can't run the football. And so it's all pass. It's all on Stroud. And then number 3, you can't protect them well. So, that's a problem on offense, no matter who's running it.
Right.
And that's 3 strikes right there, Coach. How about the best chance to start 0-2 and make the playoffs? This is something that we've seen in the past. Teams that really good teams sometimes start slow. Baltimore a season ago start slow, and then they figure out a rhythm. Who is the best chance in that group to still make the playoffs, Coach?
Believe it or not, it's the 2 teams we're talking about because they have good coaching, they have excellent culture, and they've got quarterbacks who can make plays. Some of these other teams don't have that.
Yeah, but they also both have good defenses too that you can continue to build. We trust Kansas City defenses, championship caliber. They just got to play a little smarter, and I definitely trust DeMeco Ryans in that defense over there.
Yeah, you would imagine the Chiefs get one win this week. They got the Giants. It's on the road, but you'd imagine they'd get to 1-2. It just looks like a JV group of receivers. And you guys brought it up. It's like, their top shelf guys are either suspended or hurt. And so now it looks like, if it's a high school team, they got their sophomores and their freshmen out there. You're going, these guys, they're all right. They're not winning. They don't look big or fast or intimidating or they just don't look like they can win now for you. And it looks like Mahomes is running around like crazy trying to make up for it, Coach.
But a lot of that changes when you've got the one guy. And that to me is the problem with Rashee Rice being out. They don't have that. They had Tyreek Hill, and they had a lot of other guys who looked very good when they're playing with Tyreek, Demarcus Robinson, and guys like that who now you're getting one-on-one coverage, you're getting the third corner or whatever, and you can make some plays. But when you don't have that home run guy, it makes everybody else's job a little more tough.
Yeah, Coach, it's a little scary when Tyquan Thornton is been your best receiver and your most dangerous deep threat.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on down to these early season quarterback injuries, because now we have Burrow, who we hit on, Purdy, who's got a toe as well, J.J. McCarthy, he's out with an ankle, Justin Fields, he's dealing with a concussion. So a bit of injuries, getting beat up. It happens in the NFL through 2 weeks. That's who we got. Coach, to you and that group, who's the biggest deal, maybe outside of Joe Burrow, who we all know?
Well, Brock Purdy being out, is a problem, but they've got a competent backup. And to me, that's the thing now. You need that number 2 guy to be able to step in. He might have to play 1 or 2 games during the year in a crucial situation. I have to applaud Minnesota. They looked at their situation. They went out and signed Carson Wentz before the season started, saying, I've got to have somebody there to turn to if my number 1 guy goes down. So I think that who are these number 2 guys who are going to step in and play?
Yeah, and what about Jaden Daniels, your guy, Coach, in Washington? I mean, we talk about how important he is and his ability to run and just how well this team plays, both on offense and defense, when he's at the helm. So I think for me, that's the biggest injury because, I mean, this team has a legitimate chance to make a deep run in the playoffs. And without him, I think they're just a solid team.
Well, and not even without him, Rob, but you make a great point. Let's say he plays, but he's not as mobile. He's not running because of that knee. And that takes away a lot of what they do and a lot of what makes him special. So we definitely need to keep an eye on that one.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Carson Wentz, and he's got to be one of the most interesting studies in the league. From he was hyped up, he was paid, he was supposed to be the next one, all those things during the Super Bowl year. He really built the early part of that regular season for them. And since he's bounced around and has sort of become viewed as a backup quarterback coach, I mean, what do you think has happened from where he was in the hype train to where he is now getting this opportunity for the Vikings?
I think it's confidence level, one. And then secondly, I think you've got to have the right type of offense around him and put an offense together that matches his skills and what he can do well. When you're the starter, that happens. I'm going to craft the offense around you. If you just come in as a backup, you've got to run the offense that Patrick Mahomes ran when you backed him up. You've got to run the offense with the Rams. So he hasn't, I don't think, had a chance to be involved, and he won't be even now. This offense is built for J.J. McCarthy and what he does. They do a lot of the similar things, but I don't think he's had that chance to be the guy.
Yeah, and I think head coach Kevin O'Connell will kind of adjust the plays and some of the things that he does well and say, hey, Carson, okay, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? What are some of the things? And he'll incorporate that. So having that veteran experience, having a guy like Carson Wentz that's played a lot of football, seen a lot of things, you don't have to panic. He's not a great quarterback, but he's good enough to come in. Guys going to look at him and have respect for him because of his work ethic and his professionalism. So they're going to play hard for him. And he's going to make some plays. The biggest thing is for him, once he gets comfortable, I think Carson Wentz can be solid. I think he can do a solid job just like Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is playing like an MVP right now. But I'm saying that I do believe that Carson Wentz can come in and provide him with some veteran leadership.
And you make a great point when you talk about Kevin O'Connell, because we've seen him do this with Sam Darnold, with Josh Dobbs, with other guys who have come in, and he said, this is what they do well. I'm going to put him in positions to accentuate his positives. And if he has a chance with anybody, this is a golden opportunity.
Absolutely, Coach.
Sixth different team he started for in 6 seasons for Carson Wentz at this point. You look at that, you go, dang, 6th team in 6 seasons. So there he is, and he's in Minnesota. And there's still no piece of you. Rodney, you just said Daniel Jones playing like an MVP. 1 year, $14 million. There's still no piece of you that goes, hey, Kevin O'Connell, maybe as an insurance policy, we let him back up J.J. McCarthy. Still no piece of you saying that.
Yeah, but what Coach told me, Coach said, Daniel Jones didn't want to go anywhere where he's going to be the backup. I just think Minnesota in their heart, and they wanted to push this young guy. They wanted to play this young guy, and I think Daniel went to the perfect place. I think Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones is a perfect fit. They have this big offensive line. He's got big weapons around him. They can run the football. They got a really solid defense. I mean, he couldn't have gone to a better situation, Coach, Daniel Jones.
I agree. And Minnesota, the Vikings, they wanted Sam Darnold. No question about it. They wanted Daniel Jones, but they wanted him as backups. They wanted J.J. McCarthy to be the starter, and they wanted those two guys as backups. Sam Darnold says, I can go make money and be a starter. Daniel Jones said, I don't want to be a backup. Let me look for a place where I have a chance to start. So I don't think it was the Vikings not wanting them. It was the fact that they had made up their mind that J.J. McCarthy was going to be the number one guy.
Thank you, Coach, because he keeps beating me up. I mean, it's been the last 3 days. He keeps beating me up about, they should have kept Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones did not want to play behind this young quarterback.
They wanted to keep him. Yes,
I got you, and I understand all the points, but money aside, I still want the best quarterback. I don't give a damn about the money. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And right now,
that's the question.
Quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is third on that list by a substantial margin. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that he's ever going to even surpass either one of those two quarterbacks. Wow. And those aren't necessarily elite quarterbacks we're talking about. And he might. We're talking about 2 games here. It's very early on. But he has 7 quarters that are red flags. And he has one moment there in that fourth quarter. I don't want to take it away from him where it was a green light. It was a green flag. You go, okay, this looks like something. But everything else would make me worried if I'm Kevin O'Connell. And his demeanor on the sideline felt to me like he was a little bit concerned on Sunday night. And so that's all that's coming from, Coach.
No, and that is a very good question. You set your hierarchy. J.J. McCarthy is going to be our guy no matter what. That's a statement. We saw the other side of the field. Atlanta paid Kirk Cousins. He was their number one guy. But they told us, we saw when Michael Penix came into training camp, we saw a guy who gave us some hope. And they made the decision in midseason, we're going to flip it. And we think this guy is our future. So making those decisions and figuring out who the right guy is important.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to look at games in 7 quarters and judge this and that. But when you have a young quarterback as an organization, you already understand, hey, we're gonna have a really good defense. We're gonna surround him with a bunch of weapons. We're going to try to run the football. They tried to improve their offensive line. They still got guys injured. These are some of the bumps and some of the ups and downs that you go through with a young quarterback. And as an organization, you can't panic and say, oh, my goodness, this guy's the wrong pick, because we didn't know that Daniel Jones was going to play as well as as he's playing right now. And then we saw what Sam Darnold could do during the regular season, but we also saw what Sam Darnold couldn't do in the postseason. He looked terrible, and that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So I wasn't discouraged when they let Sam Darnold go. I said, yeah, Daniel Jones could be a good backup, but I knew that they wanted to push this young kid. And, sometimes you got to live with the ups and downs of a young quarterback, Coach.
Right. And a lot of teams do that. The Tennessee Titans said Cam Ward's our guy, and we'll find out if he's good or if he isn't, but they're going to plug him in. Minnesota said J.J. McCarthy's our guy. Yeah. But the problem is Minnesota was a 13-win team last year that expects to go to the playoffs. So now when you're kind of trying to see if the quarterback's the guy, and everybody's saying, but what about our team? We just lost the game that we needed to win. That's when it becomes problematic.
Coach, what was Peyton Manning's record as a rookie? Just tell me that.
3-13. Yes.
How many interceptions did he throw?
Set a record for rookie quarterbacks. Yes, 27.
And just think if they would have panicked. Oh my God, Peyton Manning was
He's
terrible.
not the guy. He's not as good as we thought he
He's not
was.
the guy.
Yeah.
That's Jack, the general manager, though.
Okay, but let's say this: Peyton Manning, he's one of those examples. How many other first-round picks, the Trey Lances of the world, the Sam Darnold with the Jets, how many other first-round picks have teams? They have a bad team, they have a young quarterback, it doesn't work, they look like they got it completely wrong, and all of a sudden, guys go, in the NFL, they don't give you 2 or 3 years to fix it. It's like if it doesn't start happening or showing progress, all of a sudden the coach's ass is on the line. And they're about to get him out of there. And so for Kevin O'Connell, it's like at some point, let's give this thing 8 weeks or 10 weeks. But if it continues to be rocky road, I mean, these questions are going to be asked. And so they're 1 quarter away from it being really loud right now. He kind of saved that at the end of the Chicago game. But I do think that there's going to be more pressure, to Coach's point, given that how good this team was with Sam Darnold, whether they did it in the playoffs or not. They were outstanding in the regular season with Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold.
And the question may come up. Carson Wentz goes in there and plays good football, and they win their next 3 games. J.J. McCarthy's ready to come back in the lineup. What do you do then? That'll be interesting.
Okay, if that happens, what do you do, Coach?
I'm playing to win. I'm leaving Carson Wentz in.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I agree.
I'll tell you what, this is why the NFL is so damn fun, isn't it? I mean, this is it. Because you're trying to make a financial decision and go, we don't want to pay Sam Darnold $100 million because of the playoff game or whatever the reason may be. We don't want to pay Daniel Jones, even though we really like Daniel Jones. I mean, we all heard they really liked Daniel Jones, but they wanted to give JJ a shot. They wanted to give him a shot, but they didn't really know outside of practice what he was.
But they didn't want to make the financial commitment that the Giants had previously made. You say, okay, I'm signing this guy to a 1-year, $14 million deal. Well, you can sit him on the bench and he's making $14 million. But if he's making $30, $35 million, guess what? He's the starter. So if Minnesota would have said, hey, Daniel, we want you to be our starter. We're going to have this young kid learn from you. We're going to sign you to a 2-year, $60 million deal. We'll guarantee $50 million of it. And whatever happens after that, it's a free competition. And Daniel Jones would have probably been more likely or more open to do something like that. But when you offer a guy that was making $40 million a year, $14 million, you're basically saying, hey, we're going to give this young guy every single opportunity to be the starter. And if you're Daniel Jones coming from New York, a place where people just pound on him, now he wants to get away from that. He wants to be in a more stable environment. Indianapolis Colts is the perfect place because he knows, he watches tape. He knows that Anthony Richardson can't play. He's not a good quarterback. He's a phenomenal athlete, but he's not ready to play. So I thought that was an excellent, smart move by Daniel Jones choosing the Indianapolis coach and the coaching with Shane Steichen, Coach.
Yeah, and basically what happened to him is Minnesota said, hey, we love you, Daniel. We want you to stay here and be the backup. Indianapolis called and said, we love you, and we want to give you a chance to compete to be the starter. Yes. that was it.
Which one would you take, Jack?
I understand that. What I'm saying is, if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I'm going, listen, we're going to, whatever the Colts are offering you, we're right there with that. We're going to pay you that same amount of money. And this is going to be an open competition.
It wasn't about money. It's not about money. It's
about wanting to play, right?
Compete. Do I have a chance to be the starter, or have we selected our starter and I'm the backup?
And the only reason in what world, real quick, does it make sense to say, why would we not have a quarterback competition? Why, if Daniel Jones is going to be better than J.J. McCarthy, why would we not want to play the better quarterback? Like money aside.
We didn't know that, though. We did not know that, Jack. That's what you don't understand. We didn't know what Daniel Jones we're getting. Now you put Daniel Jones on a team that has the right pieces. He never had a great offensive line in New York. He didn't have Alec Pearson, those guys, Downs, and those guys, that talent, Tyler Warren, a Pro Bowl running back, 2-3 Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. He didn't have that in New York. So to me,
I get that, but Minnesota saw him. Minnesota saw him in their system and their practice, so they saw him in that setting, right? I mean, that they know who he was in their building.
Yeah. So the only reason I mentioned money, because Yeah, Daniel Jones say it's not about money, but if there's a financial commitment, a legitimate financial commitment, 2 year, 60 million, $30 million a year, guess what that's telling me if I'm Daniel Jones? They want me as the starter at quarterback. Am I lying, coach? Is that?
What money tells you is, are they telling me the truth? Hey, we're going to give you a chance to compete, but we can only pay you $5 million. Well, no, you're not telling me the truth. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And JJ was coming off a serious injury. So my only point was, in the same way Kirk Cousins was coming off a serious injury, and you bring in Michael Penix, it's an insurance policy at the most important position by a mile. I mean, it's the most
Yeah.
important position by a mile. And I'd rather have two guys there in that room that have a chance to play and win games with than one that I'm not sure about. And I'm afraid that they've got
Absolutely.
themselves in that situation with one that they're not sure about. All right, we move it on down. What a fun discussion, though. And the more success Darnold or Daniel Jones have, the bigger that this whole thing is going to become. Yeah. Kansas City and the New York Giants, it's the 0-2 bowl. So one of these teams has got to get a win. That's the good news. First thought looking at this game, Rod, as we head to the Big Apple on Sunday night.
The first thought I had was just the lack of discipline I see from the Giants. And I think Coach Daboll, he needs to send a message throughout his locker room and say, guys, we have some talent. We can compete with anybody. The biggest thing is you have to choose the team over individual things. And that's why you see all the penalties, the mistakes. I mean, Coach, you watch them, they're playing cover two, the safeties are out wide, and then the nickelback gets beat inside. It's the lack of discipline. They're not very disciplined, and they just kind of do their own thing. So to me, it's just Brian Daboll echoing the message, guys, we have to be better from a mental standpoint. We have to be more disciplined.
No, and they can really set the tone on Sunday night. If I were Brian Daboll, here's what I would say. Hey, we've got a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. We're playing them at home. Here's how we're going to beat them. Defense, we're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. They haven't been able to run the ball well. We're not going to let them run. We've got guys who can pressure the passer against a suspect offensive line. If we can just limit them, hold them down, we've got an offense that can make big plays. All we need then is 2 or 3 long passes from Russell, and we can win this game in a low-scoring affair. We just have to play that type of football, and as Rodney says, be disciplined about it.
I think you got a point there, Coach, in that these Kansas City receivers have not proven they're going to get very open. The Giants' pass rush has proven they can win. And so that could be a formula for the Giants of they can get to him before he's got anybody open. And now you're going to have Mahomes trying to run and create and do extra things with his legs. And that may be the road to victory for Kansas City, but that's a little bit more of a leaner road to where if the Giants can get some pressure on them, they can maybe take this game into the fourth quarter, Rod. Is there a chance the Giants can pull the call?
Absolutely. And the Giants, they don't have to go crazy blitzing and doing all these crazy things. They can play it safe. They can force Kansas City to go up and down the field, keep 2 safeties back, let those 4 guys rush. And they've done a good job of putting Abdul Carter over the center, putting them on the same side as Thibodeau and Brian Burns and those guys running stunts. And when you see the speed on their defense, you see big Dexter Lawrence up in there, they're rushing 4 guys. I mean, it looks like the old Giants, the Super Bowl Giants that beat us with Justin Tuck and those guys.
And then the question is, how did they give up 40 points? With that kind of talent on defense, how did they give up 40 points last week?
Yeah, it's a lot. Too many big plays in the secondary and just not enough discipline. And that's on defensive coordinator Shane Bowen.
Expect that ball to come out fast. There's going to be quick passing. Kansas City, the only way they're going to beat you is run after the catch. You keep the ball in front of you and tackle. They should not move the ball. We have too much pressure on the quarterback.
And you know what, Coach, the biggest thing, too, is just watching Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City offense has no rhythm. It has really no flow. So as a defense, sometimes it's difficult to defend offenses like that, because especially when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes. If I'm the Giants, first thing I would say if I'm Shane Bowen, hey, man, this guy is Josh Allen, okay? The way the team gets going, the way he injects energy into this team is scrambling, moving around. For the most part, they don't have anything going offensively. Then all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes, he runs for 20 or 30 yards. They're celebrating. Now they pick up a first down. They keep those chains moving. But that's what the offense has been. And that's why, as a defense, it's really hard at times. It's like, man, it's goofy because it's Patrick Mahomes running around, making plays. It's Travis Kelce, coming off the line, doing all these herky-jerky movements. But if you can apply pressure with those front four, man, it's a different, like you said, Coach, the ball's going to come out fast and it's going to be a different game and you'll have a chance to win this game.
Yeah. Russell Wilson lighting it up down there in Dallas. I mean, I was looking at Mahomes' numbers, 13 carries, 123 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Those are his rushing stats through a couple of weeks. Coach, looking at Russell Wilson, though, week 1 to week 2, I mean, are you confidence rising there in that Giants quarterback room? I know you know Russ well.
Well, what they have to do is do what he does best, which is throw deep balls. So they've got to get the offense in position to throw deep balls. Take some shots against Kansas City. You just have to hit 2 or 3 of them. You're not going to have to score 35 points to win this game. So if they can get Russell with a couple deep shots, they can win the game. And that's the way I would do it. How do we structure this to get a couple of one-on-ones, pick up the blitzes, we know they're coming, and let Russell take those shots? I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
The point that you just made there, Coach, it's the blitz. Kansas City is going to come after you. Steve Spagnuolo, he's coming after Russell Wilson just like he did Jalen Hurts last week. And they're going to have many opportunities at one-on-ones. They just have to catch it and they have to win.
And they can't have the catastrophe when they do blitz. Russell's got to be aware of where things don't get hit in the back, don't get the sack, fumble, touchdown the other way. Be smart and then hit a couple deep shots. Take this game in the fourth quarter, as Jack says, and win one at the end.
The FNIA podcast, man. Fellas, I got a feeling ratings might be up this week. Between some of these topics here, I'll see you guys down in the YouTube comments. I cannot wait. I love to debate it. I love to have the hard conversations with you because you're the best at it. I appreciate it so much, Coach Dungy, Rodney Harrison. We are out. JJ McCarthy, we love you, man, but we got to talk about it. We're out. Peace.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.